A moving truck pulls up to a silent apartment building on a quiet street. The newcomer smiles, relieved by the unexpected peace and quiet. Boxes are unloaded and carried inside the building's dimly lit lobby. The apartment is small but clean and seemingly undisturbed. The newcomer unpacks, humming softly, enjoying the fresh start. Night falls. The city lights twinkle outside the window. The newcomer drifts off to sleep, exhausted from the move. The clock reads 3:06 a.m. in the darkened bedroom. Close up on the clock. 3:07 a.m. The silence is absolute. The newcomer jolts awake, eyes wide with sudden alertness. A slow, deliberate dragging sound comes from the apartment above. The sound is rhythmic and unsettling, a heavy scrape on the floor. It sounds like someone is pulling a heavy chair, inch by agonizing inch. The newcomer sits up in bed, listening intently, a frown forming. They try to rationalize the noise. Old pipes, settling building, perhaps a restless neighbor moving furniture late at night, but as the sound is too consistent, too deliberate to be accidental. A bead of sweat trickles down the newcomer's forehead in the dark. The dragging continues, a slow, grating symphony of dread. Suddenly, a soft click echoes from inside the newcomer's hallway. The newcomer's eyes dart towards the hallway, pupils dilated. A wave of unease washes over them, a primal fear taking hold. The hallway is shrouded in darkness, silent except for their breathing. They strain their ears, listening for any other sound or movement. The dragging sound above continues, oblivious to their fear. The click from the hallway feels like a violation, an intrusion. The newcomer pulls the covers tighter, feeling exposed and vulnerable. Is someone else in the apartment with them? The thought is terrifying. They glance nervously at the bedroom door, barely visible in the dark. Every shadow seems to lengthen, every creak amplified by their fear. The dragging sound intensifies, reaching a crescendo of unease. The newcomer closes their eyes, trying to block out the noise, but the sound penetrates their mind, a relentless assault on their senses. They open their eyes again, the darkness pressing in on them. The click from the hallway replays in their mind, a haunting echo. They decide they must investigate, despite their overwhelming fear. Staying in bed is no longer an option. They need to know. Slowly, cautiously, they swing their legs over the side of the bed. Their feet touch the cold floor, sending a shiver up their spine. They stand up, their legs trembling slightly, and take a deep breath. They reach for the bedside lamp, their hands shaking as they flick it on. The sudden light illuminates the room, momentarily blinding them. They blink, adjusting to the light, and look towards the hallway. The hallway remains dark and silent, seemingly unchanged, but the feeling of unease persists, a lingering sense of dread. The dragging sound continues above, a constant reminder of the unknown. They take a tentative step towards the hallway, their heart pounding. Each step is deliberate, each breath measured, as they venture into the dark. The hallway stretches before them, a gauntlet of shadows and silence. They reach the doorway, peering into the darkness, searching for any sign. Nothing. Only the oppressive silence and the dragging sound above. They step into the hallway, their senses on high alert, ready for anything. The air is cold, a stark contrast to the warmth of the bedroom. They move slowly, scanning the hallway, looking for the source of the click. A shadow flickers at the edge of their vision, making them jump. It's just their own shadow, distorted by the dim light. They continue down the hallway, their fear growing with each step. The dragging sound above seems to be getting louder, closer. They reach the end of the hallway, their hand hovering over the light switch. They flick on the light, flooding the hallway with a sense of false security. The soft click from the hallway still echoes in their ears. Driven by fear, they cautiously step out of bed. The apartment is dark, silent, except for their racing heart. They peer into the hallway, straining to see. Nothing, just shadows playing tricks on the eyes. They take a tentative step forward, then another. Each footstep seems deafening in the oppressive silence. Reaching the living room, they scan the space. Moonlight filters through the window, casting long shadows. Still nothing. No sign of anyone or anything. They start to relax a little. Maybe it was their imagination. Turning back towards the bedroom, relief washes over them. Suddenly, a faint whisper slips through the wall. It's barely audible, a breath against the silence. Here. The whisper sends a jolt of terror through their body. They freeze, every muscle tense, listening intently. Silence. Only the pounding of their own heart. They stumble back to bed, pulling the covers tight. Sleep is impossible now, their mind racing with fear. The next morning, exhaustion weighs heavily on them. They decide to seek answers, to understand what's happening. They head down to the building manager's office. The manager, a weary-looking man, greets them with a sigh. They explain the sounds, the dragging, the whisper. The manager listens patiently, a flicker of concern in his eyes. They ask about the apartment above, apartment 3B. The manager pauses, a strange look crossing his face. 3B? That apartment has been vacant for years. The words hit them like a physical blow. Vacant? But the sounds, they came from directly above. They press the manager, seeking confirmation. He insists, showing them the building records. Apartment 3B, vacant. No current tenant. The realization sinks in, cold and heavy. They are not alone. Something else is there. The manager offers a weak smile, trying to reassure them. Old building, you know? Makes strange noises. But his words ring hollow, offering no comfort. They leave the office, the dread growing stronger. The vacant apartment looms above, a silent threat. The sounds, the whisper, they were real. Something inexplicable is happening in their apartment. They quicken their pace, wanting to escape the building. Back in their apartment, the silence is deafening. Every creak, every groan of the building amplifies their fear. They look up at the ceiling, imagining the empty apartment above. What is making those sounds? What is in 3B? They try to rationalize it, to find a logical explanation. But logic offers no solace, no escape from the dread. They are trapped, haunted by the unknown. The realization dawns. They are not safe here. The apartment, once a haven, is now a prison of fear. They feel watched, a constant presence in the shadows. The whisper echoes in their mind. Here, they know they can't stay, not with this growing terror. They have to find answers or escape this nightmare. But where can they go? Will it follow them? The silence of the apartment is broken by a single creak. The haunting has begun. Gripped by dread, the protagonist stares at the ceiling, remembering the manager's words. The apartment above has been vacant for years. An unsettling realization sinks in. Determined to confront the mystery, the protagonist prepares to stay awake. They drink coffee, fighting the urge to sleep. The clock ticks loudly. The apartment is silent, save for the protagonist's racing thoughts. Shadows dance in the corners of the room, playing tricks on their eyes. The clock nears 3 a.m. A wave of anxiety washes over them. 3:05 a.m. The silence is deafening. Every creak of the building amplifies. 3:06 a.m. Their heartbeat fills the room, a frantic drum against the quiet. 3:07 a.m. A single sharp knock echoes from the living room. The protagonist freezes, their breath catching in their throat. They slowly rise, their legs feeling like lead. Fear grips them. Cautiously, they approach the living room, peering around the corner. The room is dark, illuminated only by the faint glow of the city lights. Nothing seems out of place, but something feels wrong, deeply wrong. Then, they see it. The rug in the center of the room is moving. It rises and falls slowly, rhythmically, as if something is breathing beneath it. The protagonist is paralyzed by fear, unable to move or speak. They stare in horror as the rug continues its unnatural undulation. The movement ceases abruptly. The rug lies still, silent. The protagonist dares to breathe again, but the relief is short-lived. A loud slam echoes through the apartment. The bedroom door. The door is now shut, trapping them in the living room. Panic sets in. They rush to the door, grabbing the handle. They pull, but the door won't budge. It's locked, somehow. They rattle the handle, desperate to escape. The door remains sealed. A cold gust of wind sweeps through the living room, chilling them to the bone. The temperature drops drastically. They can see their breath in the air. A faint scratching sound comes from the hallway, closer this time. The protagonist backs away from the door, their eyes darting around the room. They feel trapped, hunted. This is no longer just a hunting. It's a game, a terrifying game of cat and mouse. The scratching stops. Silence descends again, heavy and oppressive. A whisper brushes against their ear. too faint to understand. They whirl around, searching for the source of the sound. Nothing. Only shadows and the chilling silence of the apartment. They try the door again, throwing their weight against it. Still locked. Immovable. They are trapped. A feeling of hopelessness washes over them. They are at the entity's mercy. Suddenly, a picture falls from the wall, shattering on the floor. The sound echoes like a gunshot, making them jump. They stare at the broken glass, their heart pounding in their chest. A shadow flickers in the corner of their eye. They turn quickly. Nothing, but the feeling of being watched intensifies. They are not alone. They are definitely not alone. The rug moves again. A slow, deliberate rise and fall. Closer this time. Much closer. The protagonist can see the outline of something beneath the rug. A shape. A human shape. They scream. A primal sound of terror and despair. The rug stops moving. The shape is still. Then, slowly, it begins to rise. The protagonist closes their eyes, bracing for the inevitable. A cold hand touches their shoulder. They gasp, their body convulsing in fear. A whisper, clear as a bell, echoes in their ear. You can't hide. The protagonist faints, collapsing onto the floor. Darkness consumes them. The haunting continues. The apartment remains silent, waiting for the next victim. The bedroom door slams shut, leaving the protagonist trapped and terrified. Footsteps echo in the hallway. The unseen entity is toying with them. Days later, the protagonist confronts the building manager, seeking answers. The manager sighs, a look of grim resignation on his face. There's something you should know about the apartment upstairs, he begins. Flashback. A dimly lit apartment. Years ago, a solitary man sits alone, muttering to himself in the darkness. Neighbors complain about the constant dragging sounds from his apartment. Close up on the floor, deep scrape marks mar the wooden surface. The dragging sound intensifies, then abruptly stops. Silence descends upon the building, heavy and unsettling. Days pass without a sound from the upstairs apartment. Police officers enter the apartment, their faces grim. The man is found hanging from the ceiling, a chair overturned beneath him. The chair legs have long, desperate scrape marks on the floor. The camera focuses on the rope, swaying gently in the air. Back in the present, the building manager finishes his story. He was a troubled man, always alone, the manager says sadly. The dragging sounds, we never understood them. The protagonist stares at the manager, a chilling realization dawning. The manager avoids eye contact, shuffling papers on his desk. His death, it was ruled a suicide, he mumbles, close up on the manager's trembling hands. But some things just don't add up. The protagonist remembers the rug rising and falling, the whisper in the wall. Flashback. The rug in the living room, moving unnaturally. Flashback. The faint whisper here. The protagonist shivers, despite the warmth of the day. The manager looks up, his eyes filled with a mixture of fear and pity. I should have told you this before you moved in, he admits, but I didn't want to scare you away. The protagonist feels a surge of anger and betrayal. You knew about this? You knew about the haunting? The manager sighs again, running a hand through his thinning hair. I hoped it was just old stories, nothing more. The protagonist stands up abruptly, pacing the small office. The weight of the manager's revelation is crushing. They now understand the source of the terror, but not its purpose. The protagonist's face is pale, etched with fear and determination. I have to do something, they say, their voice trembling. The manager shakes his head, a look of helplessness on his face. There's nothing you can do. It's been going on for years. The protagonist ignores him, already formulating a plan. They will not be driven out by this presence. Close up on the protagonist's determined eyes. They will confront the entity, uncover its secrets, and end the haunting. The manager watches them leave, a sense of dread washing over him. He knows that the protagonist is walking into danger. The camera pans up to the window of the vacant apartment above. Darkness fills the room, hiding whatever lurks within. A faint whisper echoes from the apartment. Mine. The protagonist walks back to their apartment, a sense of foreboding. They clutch a small silver cross in their pocket for comfort. They know that tonight will be the most terrifying night of their life. The apartment building looms in the darkness, a silent sentinel. The protagonist steps inside, ready to face the unknown. The camera focuses on the closed door of the haunted apartment. A single chilling draft of air seeps from under the door. The dragging sound starts again. slow and deliberate. The protagonist braces themselves, ready for the night ahead. The manager's words echo. A man found hanging, chair scrapes, a desperate struggle. The protagonist shivers, the apartment's history, a chilling backdrop. Night, 5 descends, heavier and darker than before. The apartment is silent, a suffocating, expectant silence. The protagonist lies in bed, eyes wide, breath held. Every creak, every rustle amplifies in the oppressive quiet. The clock ticks, each second a hammer blow to their nerves. 3 a.m. The air thickens, a palpable sense of dread. 3:05 a.m. A cold spot forms near the foot of the bed. 3:06 a.m. The silence screams, a prelude to terror. 3:07 a.m. The sounds begin, not above, but beside them. The mattress slowly sinks, as if someone is sitting down. The protagonist's eyes dart to the indentation forming beside them. A cold draft brushes their face, a ghostly caress. They can feel a presence inches away, unseen, unknown. The air crackles with an unnatural energy. A whisper, clear and chilling, cuts through the silence. You took my place. The words hang in the air, heavy with malice and accusation. The protagonist's blood runs cold, paralyzed by fear. They try to scream, but no sound escapes their lips. Their heart pounds against their ribs, a frantic drumbeat. They squeeze their eyes shut, wishing it all away. But the presence remains a suffocating weight. They open their eyes, the indentation still there, mocking them. Terror floods their senses, a tidal wave of dread. They lunge out of bed, scrambling away from the unseen entity. They stumble, falling to the floor in their panic. They crawl towards the door, desperate to escape. The room spins, a vortex of fear and disorientation. They reach the door, fumbling with the handle. The handle is cold, slick with a phantom moisture. They yank the door open and stumble into the hallway. The hallway is dark, but empty, seemingly safe. They run, not knowing where they're going, only needing to escape, down the stairs, 2 at a time, fueled by adrenaline, out into the night, gasping for breath, for sanity. The cold air stings their lungs, a welcome sensation. They look back at the apartment building, a dark, looming silhouette. They see a flicker of movement in their window, a fleeting shadow. They turn and run again, not stopping until they reach the street. The next morning, they pack their belongings in a frenzy. Every object seems tainted, imbued with the apartment's darkness. They throw everything into boxes, not caring about order or neatness. They just want to leave, to put as much distance as possible between them and the apartment. They load the boxes into their car, their hands shaking. They slam the trunk shut, a final, decisive act. They get into the car, their hearts still pounding. They start the engine, the roar a temporary comfort. They drive away, leaving the apartment behind. But the words echo in their mind, "You took my place." They are haunted by the personal nature of the entity's message. A direct link between them and the previous tenant. The question gnaws at them, a seed of terror planted deep. They glance in the rearview mirror, half expecting to see something. Only the empty road stretches behind them, but they can't shake the feeling that they are being watched. The haunting has just begun. The apartment and its secrets are forever etched in their memory. They vow never to return, forever changed by the 3 a.m. terror. The protagonist frantically packs, throwing clothes into a suitcase. Sunlight streams through the window, a stark contrast to the night's terror. A quick, shaky shot of the apartment door slamming shut as they flee. Days later, the building manager calls, his voice grave and low. Protagonist answers, a sense of dread washing over them. "Hello, building manager. I have some news about your old apartment." Close up on the building manager's face, etched with concern and a hint of fear. Building manager, the sounds. They've started again. Protagonist's eyes widen in disbelief and horror. "What? But I'm gone." Building manager. "Yes, but it's not the same as before." Building manager. "The apartment times, below times, yours was empty until you moved in." Flashback. The protagonist signing the lease, oblivious to the apartment's history. Building manager. "And the official time of death for Mr. Abernathy was 3:07 a.m. Protagonist gasps, clutching the phone tightly. The pieces begin to fall into place. Building manager. "I thought you should know. I'm very sorry." The phone line goes dead. Silence fills the protagonist's new apartment. Protagonist looks up, a growing sense of unease creeping into their heart. A slow, deliberate dragging sound begins, barely audible at first. Close up on the protagonist's face, their eyes filled with mounting terror. The dragging sound grows louder, more distinct, more insistent. Protagonist slowly looks up, their gaze fixed on the ceiling above. The camera pans up to the ceiling, seemingly normal, yet filled with dread. A close-up on a light fixture, gently swaying, almost imperceptibly. The dragging sound is now unmistakable, undeniably coming from above. Protagonist whispers, barely audible, "No, it can't be." A wide shot of the new apartment, emphasizing the isolation and vulnerability. The sound intensifies, mimicking the dragging of a heavy chair. Protagonist backs away slowly, their eyes never leaving the ceiling. A shadow flickers across the ceiling, barely perceptible, but undeniably there. Protagonist stumbles backward, knocking over a lamp. It crashes to the floor. The dragging sound stops abruptly. An eerie silence descends. Protagonist holds their breath, listening intently, paralyzed by fear. A single soft creak from the ceiling above, then nothing. Protagonist runs to the door, fumbling with the lock in a panic. They wrench the door open and stumble out into the hallway. The hallway is empty and silent, but the air feels heavy and cold. Protagonist looks back at their new apartment door, a look of pure terror. Close up on the apartment door, slowly creaking shut on its own. Protagonist turns and runs, fleeing down the hallway, desperate to escape. A long shot of the empty hallway, the apartment door now closed. The dragging sound resumes, fainter now, but still audible. The camera slowly zooms in on the closed apartment door. A faint whisper seems to emanate from behind the door. "Welcome." The camera focuses on the number on the apartment door. The number is slightly crooked, as if someone tried to peel it off. The dragging sound fades away completely, leaving only silence. A single black feather drifts down from the ceiling in the hallway. The feather lands softly on the floor in front of the apartment door. Close up on the black feather, a symbol of the haunting's presence. The camera slowly pans up to the ceiling again, now completely still. A sense of oppressive dread fills the frame, lingering in the silence. The hallway lights flicker momentarily, then return to normal. A shadow moves quickly at the edge of the frame, disappearing instantly. The camera focuses on the apartment number once more. The number seems to shimmer slightly, as if it's not quite real. The camera slowly pulls back, revealing the entire hallway. The hallway is empty, silent, and waiting. A chilling breeze sweeps through the hallway, despite the closed windows. The black feather twitches slightly on the floor. The camera slowly fades to black. The faint sound of dragging can still be heard, even in the darkness.